Elon Musk is certainly an unconventional leader, and if you're a business leader or entrepreneur looking to get ahead, you should pay attention because he's teaching a masterclass in entrepreneurship.
3, 2,
Elon Musk is one of the most prolific entrepreneurs of our century. He's started, invested, or incubated $4 billion businesses: PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla, and SolarCity. And he's not done. He has a number of other projects that he's in the process of incubating. There are 4 key leadership traits that he is showing in terms of entrepreneurship that set himself apart. Number 1, clarity of vision and mission. Number 2, how he solves and attacks problems using first principles. Number 3, his leadership style and how he approaches leadership. And lastly, the way he engages with customers and the way he presents himself publicly. Many entrepreneurs and many companies lack a basic mission and vision. A mission and vision really set the stage in terms of where the company is going and what's important for the long-term mission and vision of the company. A lot of companies that do have a mission and vision statement actually don't use it on a day-to-day basis to drive the forward direction of the business. Let's take a look at Tesla's mission and vision statement.
Why does it matter? It's because it's very important to accelerate the transition to sustainable transport. It really is. This is really important for the future of the world.
You know, it's important that we accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. That's why electric cars, it matters whether electric cars happen sooner or later. You know, we're really playing a crazy game here with the atmosphere and the oceans. We're taking vast amounts of carbon from deep underground and putting this in the atmosphere. This is crazy. We should not do this. It's very dangerous. So we should accelerate the transition to sustainable energy.
No, it doesn't say anything about electric cars, solar, batteries, or anything of that nature. It's really setting a North Star in terms of what's important for the company, which is sustainable energy and helping the world get there faster. It's both aspirational, long-term, and simple. It's simple to remember, simple to articulate. Let's take a look at SpaceX.
You know, what attracts a lot of the best talent in the world, so the best engineers in the world, to SpaceX is the nature of the mission, which is we want to advance space technology to make humanity a multi-planet species. And I think that the very best engineers in the world, it's not just about a job or making a salary or whatever. It's like, how was the time spent? Did it matter?
It doesn't talk about rockets. It doesn't talk about the moon. It doesn't even talk about Mars. It's really, how do we take life and make it multiplanetary? Again, aspirational, long-term with direction, and simple. Easy to articulate, easy to remember. Clarity and vision helps internally in terms of providing a North Star, but it also helps the company externally in terms of positioning it with competitors and attracting some of the world's best talent.
This is very important, I think, to the best engineers, because the best engineers, they can work anywhere. And I think the fact that this is a mission and it's a lot of hard work, but we're trying to go about it in the right way. I think this is a key reason why some of the best people in the world come to work at SpaceX, and that's how we're able to make progress.
Elon goes further with his Tesla business, articulating what he calls the master plan, articulating where the business should go over the first 10 years of the business.
This is the first blog that I ever wrote for the company, and it was originally a 3-step. It was originally a trilogy. Now it's a 4-part trilogy, as it turns out.
But it needed to, we needed to figure out how could we, as a tiny company with very few resources, actually make a difference.
So in short, the master plan: build a sports car, use that money to build an affordable car, use that money to build an even more affordable car, and while doing that, provide zero emissions electric power generation options. Don't tell anyone.
Okay, so that's the master plan with steps 2 and 2.5.
I haven't been able to find a single public company that has articulated both a clear mission and vision and a clear step-by-step outline of where the business will go over the next 10 years. The second thing that makes Elon unique as an entrepreneur is the way he solves problems. A lot of people solve problems by analogy or thinking through the high-level business aspects. Elon does something a little different. He thinks about things in terms of first principles.
It's kind of mentally easier to reason by analogy rather than from first principles. But by first principles is kind of a physics way of looking at the world. And what that really means is you kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true or as sure as possible is true? And then reason up from there. That takes a lot more mental energy.
Here he is explaining how he thinks about battery technology and where the price of batteries should be.
Somebody could say that battery packs are really expensive and that's just the way they'll always be because that's the way they've been in the past. You're like, well, no, that's pretty dumb. So first principles would be to say, okay, what are the material constituents of the batteries? What is the spot market value of the material constituents? So you can say, okay, it's got cobalt, nickel, aluminum, carbon, and some polymers for separation and a steel can. So break that down on a material basis and say, okay, what if we bought that in the London Metal Exchange, what would each of those things cost? Like, oh, geez, it's like $80 per kilowatt hour. So clearly, you just need to think of clever ways to take those materials and combine them into the shape of a battery cell, and you can have batteries that are much, much cheaper than anyone realizes.
The notion of first principles breaks down a problem into its constituent parts. What are the aspects and how can you reduce them to the most simple aspects possible before proceeding? In terms of his leadership style, there's 4 core things that set him apart. 1, he really understands his work. And I mean, he understands the engineering, he understands the technology, the software. He rolls up his sleeves, gets into the actual product design, the actual product decisions, the actual engineering and mechanical aspects that need to be solved, and really understands it from the ground level.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think probably a lot of people don't realize I'm like basically just in the factory in design or engineering meetings or production. So that's like 80-90% of the time.
A lot of CEOs, a lot of entrepreneurs will understand a little bit about their business, a little bit about the mechanics of their product, a little bit about how things are done, but they delegate a lot of decisions without truly understanding how their business operates. I think that's okay to some degree, but it's important to understand what's really mission critical for the business and make sure that you're rolling up your sleeves to really fully and truly understand it. The things that are critical to Tesla's business, or the things that are critical to SpaceX's business or some of the other business ventures that Elon's been part of, involve a lot of really deep engineering, a lot of really deep product knowledge. By being very deep in those elements that are critical to the core business, he's able to truly make an impact on that business in a way that other entrepreneurs take a hands-off approach. And I think that sets him apart. The other thing is he's very willing to challenge the status quo. A lot of people will look at their competition and they will try to keep up with the competition. They'll look to what everyone else is doing and then they will try to copy it. Elon doesn't think that way. He challenges the status quo in terms of what's been done before and whether it's the right way to do it. He welcomes competition. A lot of folks are afraid of competition. They're afraid of looking in the mirror and seeing what the competition's doing. Elon is really interested in competition. You can see that with his competitiveness with Porsche, with his competitiveness with Ford, with his competitiveness to Boeing. He wants the challenge of the competition to force him to build the world's best products.
Boeing CEO has said that the first humans will go to Mars on a Boeing rocket.
Game on. Let's do it.
Okay, that's what I want to ask you is, given the increased competition,
Good.
what do you have to say to that? Thank you so much.
I say like, yeah, good. That's like, I'm glad you said that. That's great. We should do it. Like, I mean, like competition's a good thing. It's like races are interesting. I say like, I hope Boeing really goes like hardcore for Moon and Mars missions. Yeah, that'd be really great.
So he actually welcomes the competition, and I think that makes him very different from lots of other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean, there have been so many announcements of like autonomous EV startups. I'm waiting for my mom to announce one.
Okay.
It's like, Mom, you too. In the US alone, there are 4, I think maybe 5 China-funded EV startups.
Yes, sir.
At the $1 billion plus level, like serious funding. And there's a bunch of startups, and then of course the car industry as a whole seems to be moving in that direction. Volkswagen just, I think, announced a huge battery factory that they're going to build. And I think these are all good. It's good for the industry to be moving towards sustainable transport as quickly as possible.
The last thing that Elon is doing in terms of his entrepreneurship and his engagement is how he works and communicates with customers. No other CEO, to my knowledge, is as active and engaged with direct communication, listening to customers and how they're reacting to his product. Some have criticized Musk for his Twitter rants and his direct engagement, but his ability to engage and understand customer problems allows him to solve those problems in a way that other CEOs aren't able to do.
I think sometimes people think I spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Sure.
I don't know why they would think that. That's crazy.
And this makes him a transparent CEO, able to see those problems, able to see those issues, and that enables him to solve the problems. A lot of CEOs won't even open up, they won't connect with direct customers, and that keeps them shielded from the true problems, the true issues that are going on in their business. And lastly, and this is incredibly important, Elon likes to have a lot of fun. I think that's important for a CEO to show his or her employees that they're fun, that they're engaged, they're looking to bring joy into their products, into their business, and it's a reflection of the attitude and the spirit he wants embodied in the culture of his company.
Fun is underrated. It's like, let's do more of that. So, well, like, what is the most enjoyable thing we can possibly do? We'll do that, I think.
His products are incorporating fun in all aspects. That includes the naming of products, the Easter eggs that he's putting in products, some of the features that he's putting in products. He wants his business, he wants the folks working for him to embody the energy and the excellence and the passion that make work fun and that allow them to build some of the world's best products. I had a lot of fun putting this together. Thanks so much for taking the time. Please hit the like button if you like this sort of content. Leave me a comment, subscribe. Thanks so much. Till the next one, I'm Greg Raiz.